if I give an example of industrial waste, there are vendors who line up outside a factory for the waste that the industry generates. It can be plastic, it can be metal scrap, it can be burr, it can be anything. They don't call it as waste. It is called as scrap, and the scrap has a value and people understand this value. Unfortunately, we are gone into that spinning zone of this waste where we don't know what to do with it and is just going round and round and round and round. And we are landed up in such a condition that I personally feel that the solution is, it is going to take a very humongous effort of a lot of people to get out of this mess. And this led to this humongous, pile that we are sitting on today called landfills and debris and ocean pollution and things like that. Pune city is the only city which offers a 5% property tax rebate on your property tax bill if you are doing composting in-house. It offers 5% property tax rebate if you have a solar power system set up in your society. It offers a 5% property tax rebate if you have a rainwater harvesting system. This is a wonderful incentive that the municipal corporation has brought into the system where people are encouraged that do this and we will give you this rebate. And trust me, there are many people who are vying for this. Many societies are benefiting of this 5% rebate since many years. And the advantage of this rebate is that the capital expenses that societies put in to invest in a composting plant over a period of 5 to 6 years, this 5% rebate helps to offset that off. To begin with, this is the current circularity that we are all following today. We talk a lot about what circularity is all about and how to recycle and how to reuse. But unfortunately, these are the realities of our times today. So today's topic, what I'm going to talk about is, it's about waste. It is about rethinking what we are doing with our waste. A lot of this subject, what I'm going to talk about is through my experience that I've learned in these 13-14 years of working in this field. A lot of this is also about the research that I've done on this field, and that is what I'm trying to put forth to this audience today, to kind of go back home or go back with a new frame or a new thought process in your minds that why waste is a problem today. We are all here, we are all committed, we all know the solutions, but somehow, somewhere the link is not forming, somehow the bridge is not getting connected. So this is just an introduction about me. I manage societies, their waste. I also conduct a lot of consultancy and educational programs. I have also got a patent for capacity planning for waste management in societies, and also working on a new method of converting wet waste into biomass briquettes. So first and foremost, with this audience, I would like to, redefine the old concept of waste. See, waste earlier was that anything today, or let's say today, the definition of waste is whatever I do not want, I will throw it out. So there is some agency which comes to my house and we put it in these two buckets called wet waste and dry waste, and it goes away. I don't know where it goes away. So anything I don't want in my house gets converted into something called as waste. So first I would like to redefine what is waste to this audience. So waste in the first is a byproduct of a given system which is generating after passing through a single or number of processes. That is the definition of waste, or this waste in the current form may not be having any use to the current system, but it may be beneficial for some other person. So that was the old method of how, like typically if I give an example of industrial waste, there are vendors who line up outside a factory for the waste that the industry generates. It can be plastic, it can be metal scrap, it can be burr, it can be anything. They don't call it as waste. It is called as scrap, and the scrap has a value and people understand this value. Unfortunately, we are gone into that spinning zone of this waste where we don't know what to do with it and is just going round and round and round and round. And we are landed up in such a condition that I personally feel that the solution is, it is going to take a very humongous effort of a lot of people to get out of this mess. So my first question is, when I started my research or when I started working in this field, I saw a very typical method that there is something called as a municipal corporation, and their vehicle comes and it picks up whatever you have left at your doorstep or whatever you left at your gate. And I found this to be a very odd system, frankly, that why is the government offering such a service to us? If the government really wants to offer, or let's say they are offering this services because it comes under the category of sanitation, that let us keep the city clean, then the corporation also maybe should come and wash our clothes, wash our vessels, or also clean our bathrooms, because that is also part of sanitation. But this government has got stuck. Typically a municipal corporation or the local urban body has got stuck into this system of where they have to send people, they have to send these vehicles and multiple types of vehicles and enforce people of this wet waste and dry waste and segregation. And they themselves have got stuck in this loop since many, many years. So how did this system start, where the government said, that look, from tomorrow I am going to start picking up this waste that you generate? So it's my theory that it started somewhere in the industrial revolutions in the 18th centuries, where there was a huge influx of people from smaller towns to a larger city. This caused problems of water pollution, air pollution. People started staying near river bodies. They started generating waste. So due to that, it is a known fact that in the early 18th century, England was plagued by bubonic plague, cholera, typhoid, which was very common that time. So that is where the government stepped in, that since we have an influx of a huge population coming in, and we want this population to come in because we got industries set up, we want workers, we want skilled people. So the government came in and stepped in and said that, look, we will take care of this, let the industries work. This same thing continued later on in Europe and America also, where the second and third industrial revolutions came in. They also suffered from the same problems of diseases coming up. And ultimately, this legacy was passed on by these European rulers to all the countries that they went to. That the government took up the onus of sanitation, that let us keep the cities clean. At that era, it was required because nobody knew what to do or how to do it. And it was a good thing that the government stepped in to look after the sanitation of its citizens. In India also, we had the same culture. I would say the economic reforms that happened in the year 1991, which ended the license Raj and allowed everybody to come in, set up their shops, set up manufacturing units, created a big burst in the market. And this market led to development, this market led to growth. When we were kids, from a 100-flat society, there used to be 2 cars, majority cycles or some Bajaj two-wheelers. Today, a 100-flat society has 2 cars per flat and 4-wheelers are unknown. Cycles are missing. So that this brought in a big economic reform, which is good. The country developed, people developed, industries came in. But with that, we forgot to clean our backends somewhere. And this led to this humongous, pile that we are sitting on today, called landfills and debris and ocean pollution and things like that. So, like I said, today's discussion is not about problems. We know the problems. We know water is polluted, air is polluted, and people are throwing in rivers and fishes are dying, and we've seen turtles getting affected by the plastic waste. So I will be discussing solutions that I think are viable. These solutions are based on my experience and research. And then it is on the audience on how we can discuss on it and we can take it ahead. So the typical flow chart, let's say, of a municipal corporation today is there is a waste generator and they send all their vehicles and men and there's a collection happening, and either it goes to a transfer center. Some mill corporations try and segregate it. But this red line that you're seeing, the waste generation, the collection, and ultimately disposal. This is what generally happens in all municipal corporations. If I take an example of city like Bombay, Delhi, Calcutta, Hyderabad, Bombay generates 10,000 tons of municipal solid waste per day. 10,000 tons, like 10,000 multiplied by, add 3 more zeros to that. So technically, it is impossible for one government body to collect, segregate, and imagine process in 24 hours time. And this is where the whole problem starts. That what earlier the government said, let us take sanitation in our hands, which was good. Times were good, people were good, population was less. Today it is virtually impossible for any municipal corporation to process this waste. It is beyond their capacity. I don't blame them. It is not that they are technically not viable or they are not efficient people, things like that. But 10,000 tons per day, imagine Bombay is collecting. They are trying to process it, they are trying to segregate it, but it won't happen. So something new has to come in, some changes have to happen. So the first change that happened, and it was a very good change that happened in India, is after independence, there was no law on waste. Every municipal corporation or every city, every town did whatever it wanted to do. Somebody came and said something, promises were made, but that changed. There was a lady who took it up on herself. Her name is Miss Almitra Patel. There were rules laid down with the Supreme Court of India, and these rules were mandated to each and every city municipal corporation. Now, when a Supreme Court ruling comes in, nobody can mess with them. Government can make a rule, that's fine. But when a court makes a rule and it mandates certain steps to be done, everybody fell in place. So the good thing that happened was every municipal corporation, as per this rule, was mandated to stop dumping in landfills. And it was mandated that every municipal corporation has to generate a budget to start processing this waste. There is also a mandate which came in that segregation at source was compulsory. Every municipal commissioner had to give an annual report and comply with these rules. And when these reports are published, there was something called as the National Green Tribunal which came into the picture, and they became the monitoring authority. So many a times you may read in newspaper that National Green Tribunal has penalized the corporation for not following what it said. And commissioners are at their feet because of this. Now nobody can just come and say that, we are setting up a plant and that plant never comes in. If somebody says that we are setting up a plant, they have to give a plan, they have to give a budget, they have to give a timeline, and they have to do that and show it that yes, this plant has been set up. The second type which I am suggesting, this is a part of my own research which I feel is very important, is we have to redefine the waste that is being generated. So currently the definition of waste that we generate from our house is wet waste and dry waste, and medical waste and some other waste here and there. And we put these two buckets and the corporation comes and takes it away. For us to solve the problem, this is the first step that we need to do, is define where the corporation is picking up its waste from. Now it's helter-skelter. The vehicle follows a route map, and whichever societies or companies or hotels or street vendors come into the picture, they keep picking. Defining who is generating this municipal solid waste is the first step of the solution. So the first and the biggest you will see on the left-hand side top corner is the gated community. Gated community is where we all stay in. We are the most educated and financially sound lot of people in a city. And unfortunately, where I work with gated communities, we refuse to segregate or do anything with this waste. The second type is the ungated community. That can be the slums or people who stay on the road. Then the other definitions are manufacturing areas, hotels, street food, high density commercial places, public spaces like airports, railways, parks. Then there is medical waste from hospitals, nursing homes, large campuses of educational institutes. Then there is garden waste. Road sweeping is what the corporation does. And other smaller types of waste like cooking oil, tires, coconuts. The last category is orphaned waste. So orphaned waste is something which we, while traveling on a roadside, on a highway, we find this dumping to be happening. Piles, not very large piles, but small piles of waste which are just thrown on the side of the road. There are no parents, there is no identity to this waste, that who threw it and it belongs to whom. So I categorize that as orphaned waste. This becomes a burden on the corporation to sit cleaning this. When we have a system of collection, but people are still, motivated, or they are excited, or what gives them this motivation to pack everything in one bag and swing it across the road when they are traveling in their car or two-wheelers. So this waste creates category which is orphaned waste, and it also creates a very huge burden on the municipal corporation. Again, coming back, the old system was where the waste is generated, the waste is collected, and depending on the size of the city or the capacity of the municipal corporation, either they would segregate it and transport it, or ideally it would go to a landfill. The new type which can come into the picture actually is that municipal corporation has to change its role from managing to a manager. It's like, imagine that you get recruited into a company as, let's say, account head. After 6 months, you find out that the person who was handling the operations also left. So the company gives you the job of the operations manager. Then the HR fellow goes on leave for some time, and then accounts, operations and HR also comes into the picture. So this is happening with the municipal corporation today, that they are handling everything and anything that is coming into the picture. The solution here is that private players, good recycling technology, manufacturing players, CSR funding, there are many local citizen groups who want to do and make a change. They should be allowed into the system. They should become a part of the system. So rather than the municipal corporation going to a gated community to collect its waste, and then they don't know what to do with it, let a private entrepreneur, a social entrepreneur go to that place and say, this is the service I offer, this is the money I may pay you for buying your dry waste, or this is the money that you may have to pay me for composting your wet waste. I can teach you how to do the composting. I will take the service of this composting. I have friends who deal in dry waste. Give them this dry waste. We will come and collect it from your house every day. So municipal corporation, rather than going with all their vehicles, brings in these type of players in the market who are certified, maybe by the local committees, maybe by CSR funding. It will reduce the burden of a municipal corporation completely. So each category of this waste generation that I showed in this chart can have a specialized collection system separately. You can generate so many new entrepreneurs in the system who specialize on each type of waste. Even in plastic, there are so many categories and there is so much of recycling can be done. Metal has so many categories. Food waste composting is not so difficult for a trained entrepreneur to come in. And this sets a new kind of reform on how we look at our waste. Advantage is that, as I said, multiple players will always bring in efficiency in the system. Right now, we suffer from efficiency. We may blame the municipal corporation that, they don't work and they're lazy and things like that. But they are not efficient. That's why they're like that. And it's business, electrical and things of a municipal corporation. But municipal corporation, the commissioners are excellent administrative people. They can manage people very well. So let this expertise come into the people in the commissioner's office, that they are managing vendors. If they can manage vendors for sewage work, for bridges, for roads, for water pipelines, why can't they manage vendors even for waste collection and waste recycling? Each area in a city can have vendors. It is an option of the public to choose which vendor they would like to take. Burden on collecting waste from each and every household per day suddenly vanishes. Like the earlier example that I gave of Mumbai, their budget for solid waste management is over 2,500 crores. And what do they do in that? Go to your house, collect, try to do something, but goes to Devna. They can't do. This same 2,500 crores, I would say, is a sitting industry for so many entrepreneurs in our country. Small entrepreneurs who can recycle, who can segregate, who can do many good things with such a large quantity of waste that is generated in a city. In the end, recycling should become a business. Right now, recycling is like a social activity. We are helping people and we are consulting people, and a little bit of some recycling happens there and we all clap and we are all happy. But till the money does not flow into this, good efficient players or bigger players will not be attracted to. And money has to be coming into the system for efficient people to jump into this business of recycling municipal solid. One more good thing that happened in our country is called as the Swachh Survey. So I don't know how many people are aware of this. Every city, every metro city, every Gram Panchayat, every cantonment board is ranked every year by the central government on its cleanliness aspects. So the cleanliness aspects are how clean is your road, how clean is all your common public areas, is there open defecation in your city, how clean is your water body, how clean is the open land available, and then comes with the waste. Do people segregate? Is there citizen participation going on? Things like that. Is the municipal corporation recycling the waste? How many private players are there in your city who are helping you recycle this waste? So this survey is like a cat among the pigeons. In Pune, where I stay, I have seen sanitation inspectors sweeping the roads when just before the survey team is coming, because they are so scared. The fear is because such survey has become a prestige issue now. And which is a prestige issue. Why? Is the commissioner of that city, if he has got ranked, well last year, it is forced on him that this year also I have to get this ranking or I have to go beyond it. Not beyond it, before it. Sorry. And the same thing comes with the pressure of the politicians also involved in this. That the mayor of the city or the MLA of the city or the MP of the city would also like his or her city to be ranked well in this Swachh Survey. So like classic example of Indore and Surat being ranked 1 and 2, they are just twins in this Swachh Survey that happens. Plus there are many, like Pune has come 9th, Hyderabad is somewhere 10th. And there are many villages who are in the top 50 in Swachh Survey. Cities like Chennai or Calcutta, Kolkata do not come in this Swachh Survey ranking at all. And so it also becomes a pressure on these cities to do something. And that is why I say Swachh Survey is cat among the pigeons, that now everybody started competing that, let us keep the city clean, let us do this, let us do that. One more solution we can talk about, like I will be giving the example of a city. Like Pune city is the only city which offers a 5% property tax rebate on your property tax bill if you are doing composting in-house. It offers 5% property tax rebate if you have a solar power system set up in your society. It offers a 5% property tax rebate if you have a rainwater harvesting system. This is a wonderful incentive that the municipal corporation has brought into the system, where people are encouraged that do this and we will give you this rebate. And trust me, there are many people who are vying for this. Many societies are benefiting of this 5% rebate since many years. And the advantage of this rebate is that the capital expenses that societies put in to invest in a composting plant, over a period of 5 to 6 years, this 5% rebate helps to offset that off. Second example is the Swachh Seva cooperative, where below poverty line women are taken into the system by the municipal corporation for segregation. So today Pune, the segregation levels of Pune might be much better than many cities, is because nearly 4 to 5,000 women every day are entrusted with the task of collecting waste door to door, segregating it. And the advantage of segregating for these women is not only does the corporation pay them an amount, the segregated material is sold by them. Many ladies I know who are staying in slums with many family background problems manage to earn 10 to 15,000 rupees additionally by this. And it's a very good way of bringing the informal sector of these waste rag pickers, what we call them ideally, into the system. Pune Municipal Corporation also has set up 18 biogas plants. We had a 750-ton composting plant. We had a 750-ton waste-to-energy plant. Now it's not there, unfortunately. This point is that Serum Institute, if you all have heard of the person who made the COVID vaccine for us, Adar Poonawalla, they have initiated trust where they are helping the municipal corporation for picking up waste or segregating waste where the municipal corporation finds it difficult. So they have their team of workers, they have their team of trucks and many compactors who go and are helping this. There's a special company in Pune called PASCO for medical waste. The PA corporation does not lift medical waste. This company is authorized to go to every hospital, nursing home, doctor to pick up this. Pune has a lot of active mohalla committees, active citizen groups. I work with a company called Yardi Software, which works in slums for keeping their toilets clean. And we are also setting up composting plants in a slum. That is a gated community. In Kalyani Nagar, where I stay, we have got something called as a Resource Recycling Center. This is an initiative where we are encouraging people to come and give their dry waste every Saturday to us. And we get wonderful things from them. For example, like people who may have a vacuum cleaner and they bought a new one, and we get wonderful things from them. For example, like people who may have a vacuum cleaner and they bought a new one, we put it back into the system where somebody may want a vacuum cleaner for some other purpose. And in Pune, we have got a company called KK Foundation, which is working again with the municipal corporation under the extended producer responsibility for recycling the worst material, thermocol. They manufacture thermocol. They have developed a system where they can recycle thermocol. Now, these examples why I gave to all of you all is the best practices sharing does not happen in our industry, unfortunately. Many of you sitting in this audience today would not know many of these things. And likewise, I sitting in Pune, I don't know many good initiatives that are happening in many other cities. So one solution from this whole problem is we have to start sharing best practices on a given platform, that this is what we do, this is the way we do it. If you like us and if you want to learn how we do it, please contact us here. That is not happening in our country or in our community. Coming to the last part of my presentation is what individually or as a group a person can do or a group can do. I don't suggest that people start composting and people start recycling, because I know it's very difficult. People don't like composting in their house, or people may not want to participate in such projects. But I advise people on certain basic consumer behaviors. Our consumer behavior is a problem, and that is why waste is a problem. The first point is our shopping has become so rampant and it has become so easy. Sitting in the house, we are now ordering. We don't go out of the house anymore. Think twice before you buy. Do you actually need it? Can you still hold on without buying a new shirt or a new shoes or new things or things like that? And likewise, think twice before you throw something out. That do you actually need to throw this? Can you recycle it? Can you repair it? The timeline between the buy and the throw is very short, unfortunately. And many of us fall prey to the greenwashing that is again very common all over the country. It's all over the world actually. Any labeling that you see on any product that you buy is either environmental friendly, meets this standard, meets that standard. Think twice before what you're buying. Segregating your waste is a suggestion, a humble suggestion I can give to everybody, because there is a whole underground industry, an informal sector in India which earns good amount of money when we segregate. Plastic sells, metal sells, textile sells, shoes sell, everything sells. These people know how to sell it. Only thing is we need to segregate our waste. If our waste is mixed with food waste and then some milk pouch and onions and potatoes and things like that, the value of that dry waste goes down. Nobody wants to touch it. If we give clean dry waste to certain vendors who can benefit, it sets a whole industry of recycling. These are collective pictures which I would like to show. These are commonly found in all my societies where I am doing wet waste composting. Photographs are of food waste, which are good, not expired, which could have been used maybe by, if I didn't want it, I gave it to somebody else and not throw it out. Vegetable waste, food waste. I would urge people in this audience to stop throwing food outside as wet waste. Our children are very commonly told that nahi acha lagta hai to it's okay, throw it away. I get packed fancy vegetables, that broccoli and that purple capsicum, orange capsicum and yellow capsicum, still in the plastic wrapping. Somebody bought it, didn't know what to do with it, threw it out. What you can do, very simple things, you don't need to move, you don't need to do many changes, is understanding what you're buying, understanding what you're throwing. Simple segregation you can start in your house. It does not take too much of an effort to start segregating. And inculcating a rule in your house that we do not waste food. 25% of the wet waste that I get in my societies is waste food. Bread, butter, papaya, watermelon, mangoes, oranges, tomato, onion, you name it. And I can vouch that it is good because I cut it and see it, whether was it decayed inside. Or I take that packet and see the expiry date. Even if it was expired, I would still blame them that they waited for that product to get expired. So these simple rules individually, if we follow, it can change. The larger perspective that I spoke about today about laws, legislations, bringing in private players into the system, allowing new players to come into the system for collection, segregation, and recycling. Sharing best practices is something which we are not doing. Supporting the Swachh Survey is maybe can start the change in the whole system. This is our condition today. We are consuming more than we want, and that is why this waste is coming up. 100 years back, there was no waste, or even in our ancient scriptures, or wherever you read about old history, there was nothing called as waste that time. It's just this modern concept. After AI, the next concept is waste. What do you do? There's a solution for AI, but there's no solution for waste, unfortunately. So this bridge has to be kept. There are people ready to offer solutions. Technology is available. It can be imported. It can be in-made. Many entrepreneurs in India are working on waste. Municipal corporations are ready to do something on waste. Politicians are ready to do something on waste. But somehow this gap is not bridging up. Citizens are also participating. So maybe it's a time, to form a common society of maybe like a waste recycling or a waste resource society of India, where people start sharing their best practices. Senior bureaucrats can come into this society to take advantage of these learnings. Entrepreneurs can register in this society to offer their service to anybody in India. A common platform has to be created for everyone to come in and learn, experience, and take away what they can for their local areas. This does not happen currently. Even like a city like Indore,